On Thursday, Elizabeth Warren ripped into Ben Carson for his failure to address housing discrimination. Now, during this Senate Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs committee, Warren grilled him on his efforts to try to combat, of course, the problem of housing discrimination. And she was not gentle. I got some videos. Let's take a look.
During your confirmation process, I asked you about your commitment to enforcing laws against housing discrimination, despite whatever personal feelings you had about those laws. And you said at that hearing, quote, "I will follow the law." And I remember hoping that that was true. So, Secretary Carson, it's been a year now. Can you name a few of the things you've done to reduce housing discrimination in your time at HUD?
First of all, we are constantly involved in lawsuits that we have brought against people for housing discrimination.
So are you saying you've initiated many lawsuits over the past year? Is that on discrimination issues? Is that what you're saying?
That is an ongoing process.
So you have initiated how many lawsuits over the last year?
I can't tell you how many. We can certainly get someone to follow up with you on that.
We can get somebody to follow up. I mean, if you're asking me how many lawsuits, we've done many, many lawsuits. Well, how many? Just give me a number. Do like a ballpark. What was he like? Did he fall asleep or something? Is that what happened? It seemed like. Now, look, to be fair, Elizabeth Warren voted to confirm this guy, right? But she mentioned, she's like, well, you had good answers, and I wanted to believe you. Step one, Elizabeth, never believe anything that Ben Carson says. He is likely a liar. He's likely lying to you and doesn't actually care at all. But nonetheless, like I said, she did vote to confirm him, and that, of course, got a lot of people very angry, myself included. So now she apparently is trying to take him to task. Now, the next video that we have is her continuing in on that line of questioning and putting him in a little bit of a tight spot. Let's take a look.
I'm sorry, I'm not asking you to get into your description of it. I just want to know what you've done to reduce, the specific things you've done to help reduce housing discrimination. And you've said you've initiated many lawsuits, and you'll get back to me on the exact number. And I just want to know other specific things you have done. Anything more?
Well, I would simply say that what we do is to try to create a fair environment for all people and all of our policies. So when we create a fair environment for everybody, that means minorities as well.
That's the question I'm asking, though, is dealing specifically with discrimination, which is the problem.
I mean, look, I'm just trying to make it fair for everybody. Yeah, but how are you going to do that? Have you passed anything? Have you put any rules into place? And you said you did a bunch of lawsuits, but you can't tell anybody how many lawsuits you've done. What have you actually done other than buy yourself furniture? Nothing. Again, he can't answer the question because, well, he doesn't have an answer to the question because he actually hasn't done anything. Now, speaking of that $31,000, Warren is also going to address that in this next video.
Mr. Secretary, a lot of people are criticizing you for spending tens of thousands of dollars in taxpayer money on fancy furniture. And don't get me wrong, I think scamming the taxpayers is a scandal. But the biggest scandal of your tenure is your unwillingness to do your job and enforce the laws that reduce housing discrimination and segregation across this country. It is HUD's job to help end housing discrimination. That's what the law said. You said you would enforce these laws. You haven't, and I think that's the scandal that should get you fired.
Well, I don't think that you have characterized things in any way close to what is accurate, but you're welcome to say whatever you want.
No, I really resent that remark. I have asked the question about how it is that delaying enforcement of rules that were already in place to help end housing discrimination would help. I ask you to make your
and I
case, and
explained
all
it
you
to
can
you.
say is
And I explained it to
compliance
you.
costs were high.
No.
That does not explain how it is that you were going to delay enforcement of those rules, and that was going to help end housing
I think I explained it to you quite well, that with the small
Well, we see
area
that
fair
very-
markets, that
we
we
see your-
did not
we
tell
see that
people that
very
they couldn't do it.
differently. I would not
And we
describe
tell
it
them
as
that they
quite
could
well.
go ahead with that immediately. There's no delay if you're ready to do it.
You won't even look at the data that's come into HUD. That's not a commitment to ending housing discrimination.
Damn. You don't even look at the data. You're not doing anything. You're delaying implementation of these rules. And she went on to, she went into detail about that. And she also pointed out how Ben Carson is against what HUD is doing. In fact, called it like a socialist experiment. That's not somebody who's serious about ending housing discrimination. That's not somebody who's serious about their job. No, Ben Carson, look, he's only there, and we all know this, he's only there to destroy HUD. He's only there to enrich himself. Now, look, Elizabeth Warren is sort of late to the party on this one, but now she's actually there, and she actually is taking into account, even after voting for, to confirm him. Look, Warren, she's a mixed bag. And so on stuff like this, and especially on finance and banking, she is excellent. She is wonderful. On other issues, she is not so good. And I think it's really fair to point that out. Now, I haven't, and I know there's a lot of progressives that have completely written her off. I've only written her off on things like when it comes to authorization for war and things like that. But as far as regulation, banking, housing discrimination, she is actually really good on those issues. So, look, if you want to write her off on everything else, that's fine. That's what I've done. But when it comes to banking and things like that, she is a force to be reckoned with. Hey, everybody. Thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.